Yes, here we go. P.M.P. It is that time where we talk about the game, and I'm joined by mate.
You right?
My name's Bhoycie. I'm looking for Terry.
Yeah.
It was Terry I sent the link to.
That's me, mate. That's me.
Is that you?
Yeah.
She said, Terry, what's
Nothing
happening, mate?
me anyway.
You're looking fantastic, big man. Absolutely fun. You raise my game, man. You raise my game. How's the sunbed working out for you? That's the difference, right?
Seen a picture of you looking very dapper the other night with a pair of white shoes on.
Did you, mate? Oh, did you like that? Did you? Aye, very good. Good to be back on with you, big man. Good to be back on with you. Aye, you as well, mate. And we'll be talking about what was effectively, I think, in all essences, by the way, a dead rubber today. I think the 90 minutes were a dead rubber, if I'm perfectly honest with you. But there's still plenty that we'll get through and we'll talk about. Do all that good stuff first. Give us a like, give us a share, buy some hair, all that carry on. Remember, Bhoycie Bus memberships, £1.99 a month if you want to do so. It helps keep the wheels on the road. Big Phil's manned the fort the last month, and as you know, any revenue the channel makes is very limited, by the way. I think everyone knows that now. But that'll all be going to the big man who basically kept the bus running whilst I was in the Stone Ages, mate, with no broadband. But yeah, also, if you've hit the subscribe button already, if you've not hit subscribe, if you have, remember hit the wee bell beside it and you never miss a bus. Terry, talk to me about today. Give me your wee synopsis, your overriding feeling as you look back on what was a draw at Ibrox.
Do you know what, Bhoycie? Strangely, I feel a little bit empty because at some points of the game, I thought I was coming on to have a real moan about another poor Derby, whatever way you pronounce it, showing. Then towards the end, I was thinking, now we're going to get this, and I'm going to be absolutely buzzing. And now it's kind of that in between result that you can't have a proper one because it's a decent point to get. You can't go overboard the other way either because it wasn't a great performance. So I'm kind of just in a little bit of limbo. I know in grand scheme of things, you've used the terminology dead rubber. Emotionally, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I was emotionally invested in that game as I would be if it was neck and neck for the title or it was the final of the Champions League. I was up, down, shouting, screaming. I'm in my shed here. I'm not miles away, but I'm a good distance from the house. And there's loads of double glazing. Loads of double glazing in between, and my wife had to come down and tell me to keep the noise down.
Oh wow!
So it wasn't a dead rubber for me, mate. Wasn't a great game. Wasn't a great spectacle. I'm pleased about one thing. I'm pleased we didn't get beat again because I was concerned, not for this season, but concerned for next season. If we were going into next season on the back of 3 defeats in a row, I think it then becomes a bit of a problem. So I'm glad that we've stopped that rot. They're awful, but I thought we were poor again today as well. And I thought we seen some of the same things that the manager told us we wouldn't see again. But sure, we'll chew over it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously there has to be that sort of perspective as well. When you look at the team, you take out Nicholas Kuhn, the goals and assists for him, above 30 this year. You're taking that out the side. You're putting in James Forrest for his 5th start of the season, something like that. You're looking at Ralston coming in, who's the absolute backup right back. From a guy who Alistair Johnson, I think, is a couple of levels above, to say the least, at right back, and has made that jersey zone. He's missing. Kasper Schmeichel, one of your players of the year, undeniably. He's missing as well, albeit not because I'm criticising the performances in the solo there. I'm just saying the optics when you look at the lineup.
Do you know how many players who started today started the last game against Rangers?
Go, Terry. I like these sort of things.
Low, 4.
Wow.
Only one of the back 4. So today it's Sinisalo, Ralston, Carter-Vickers, Scales and Taylor. And the last day it's Schmeichel, Johnson, Carter-Vickers, Navrowski and Schlupp. So one of the back 4. McGregor didn't play, Hatate and Engels did, and then the only one of the front 3 that played was Maida. I just looked up myself because I thought this is actually a really, really different lineup from the last time, and there was only 4 starters in both games. Yeah,
that is weird. It is weird. And there's obviously deficiencies in the team when certain players come out. I appreciate some of those decisions, like the Scales, like the Taylor, are based on form and preference. That's cool. That's why there's some other players that get the nod. But I do grant them, when you take out a Nicholas Kuhn and Alistair Johnson, Kasper Schmeichel, they're 3, for me, guaranteed starters. Guaranteed starters that all in their own way have massive impact on how we play. And when you take those 3 out, it's not going to be plain sailing. Celtic are never going to have a squad where the drop off from your first pick, the next one down is similar. I've got to be honest, though, my biggest issue, Terry, when I watched the opening 20-25 minutes, where's the urgency? That was what frustrated me. I thought we'd seen a lot more of it second half, but we can only do things chronologically, so it's not going to be all negativity and all that shit. But if you look at it chronologically, those opening 20 minutes didn't look like a team that had a point to prove from a Celtic persuasion. One observation I made is every time a player gathered the ball, he seemed like he was standing still as he took the ball in. No one seemed to be grabbing the ball in the half turn, alert, looking for the next pass with that sort of purpose, that energy that I would be hoping for. That, not desperation, but they're almost playing like that. They're going, we need to fucking make a mark here. Everyone seemed to take it from a standing start with swivel in 2 phases as opposed to in the one motion. And that frustrated me. A lot of the time it's a touch, then push it away for your body, look for a pass. There's patience in this having possession. And then there's just, are you dead rubbering it yourself and playing like that? And it did feel like that, to be honest with you. We got a fright when Raskins got his header rightfully disallowed for offside. It is what it is. These decisions always go Celtic's way, blah, blah, blah. They only go our way if they're the right decision. And the right decision was made there. I thought that brought us into a wee bit of life. And I think you've seen that with a couple of opportunities that were getting created. Idah involved. He then has his glorious chance, Terry, coming up to half-time. I don't know what the reasoning is for it, but he looked very unsure as to what to do and what would be, to me, a bread and butter striker situation. Ironically, we've seen the same from a guy who's got over 30 goals this year, and in the last minute, who didn't know what to do. And whilst they were in a wee bit of doubt, their touch lets them down. You've got to see when you work out what it is you're trying to do. Don't lose your fucking basics having a decent touch. And I thought the first touch for Idah makes it hard, albeit, see when I look at the finish from another angle, it's actually like it's came off the outside of his boot, Terry, and he's sclaffed it. See, to be honest with you, I'm not even sure it's going on target. If you actually watch it, that's swerving the other way for goal. I think that's going to go by the post. And at a trundle's pace, if there were no goalie there, do you think it's on target? At least do that. If you're unsure, fucking rifle it. Rifle it, because see if you're actually positioned in Idah, chances are you're going to fucking score if it's got any sort of accuracy, right? And the indecision's one thing. The execution of both his first touch and then his finish, which I think is a sclaff, and then he's dodgy. When I combine that with his first touch, I'm going, I get maybe unconfident. Sometimes you just feel a bit unsure, lack of confidence, not maybe enough involvement in the game. Maybe just this season it hasn't went his way. Can kind of manage these things. The technique and stuff, I'm like, fucking hell, don't let that desert you as well. And the 2 touches there, the first touch and then the finish, both are lacking in basic techers, Terry, and they go and score 30 seconds later. I think that's unacceptable from a Celtic point of view, but also shines a light on, I think people will want to talk about, the Adam miss itself, which I thought was really disappointing.
But you picked it up there from the disallowed Raskin goal. I would go right back to the first minute. We've got out of jail in the first minute.
The bar.
They've got a corner in 30 seconds. So again, I know they got the ball from kickoff, but within 30 seconds we've conceded a corner, and within a minute they've already hit the bar. Free header again. Celtic not strong in the air, weak. There
was no one in there. There was no one in there with him. He was miles in space.
100%. He's in acres of space. He's got a free header. If that goes in again, can you imagine? Again, I don't know. I was looking for a lot more from the start. I was looking for a fast start, plenty of intensity, and it almost set the scene there for much of the first half. And Sinisalo had made a couple of decent saves in between that moment and then the Raskin goal. And again, it's difficult. I don't want to criticise, because I think you have to look at that as being good defending because of the line that they held and they got the offside. But again, notwithstanding that, to use one of your phrases, again, a little man, 5'0", has won another header and scored another goal in one of these games, albeit it then gets correctly chalked off. I think the keeper could have done better there as well. But anyway,
could we also be fair and say Celtic's line is actually brilliant?
Yeah, it is. It's good.
And I think that gets overlooked as well because he's got in behind because he's offside. And
it's good defending.
But see, sometimes when you see our weaknesses in there that you were alluding to there, Terry, I get that, by the way. See, in this instance, if you've maybe got worries about that, then one thing I did like to see is they all trusted each other to be holding that line because see, when it's like that, the guys behind you, you're counting on them to be, you can't see the players in your team that are blind to you, and you're counting on all them to be following the system through. And I think sometimes, whilst it doesn't look pretty, this third goal means fucking nothing at the end of the day if he's offside. And actually, that bit I thought was a really good example of proper defensive organisation, defending as a unit, and pretty intelligently done, if I'm honest.
I think the use of VAR and the relatively high percentage of correct offside decisions that are given by VAR allows you to do that, to play that way. Because if there's no VAR, that's a goal, and it's an incorrect goal. And the thing about it was, if Raskin doesn't win the header and any of the other 5 Rangers players who are in that attack win the header and score, they're all offside anyway, because every single one of them was offside. So, yes, I'm thinking again, little Raskin has won a ball against our soft defence, but I think in this instance, you've got to say that's good defending as a unit from a set piece. So move on to Idah then, and you've picked up about his miss. I would wind back again to first 10 minutes. He has a chance to play Forrest in. We're 3-on-2. Idah's got the ball. It's an easy pass to Forrest, and that's, at any level he's got to be playing that.
That's the other one I was chatting of. That's right.
You can see the frustration in Forrest's face because he's made the right run. Maida's made the run to sort of open up the space on the other side. He's got to make that. He's got to make that pass. It's unforgivable, and that set the tone for him for the whole game, to be honest. And I know he ends up getting the goal, but I thought he was dreadful. I thought he was really, really poor. Just nothing. He doesn't give you the closing down that you got from Kyogo or that you get when Maida plays. He doesn't seem to break sweat at any point. His passing's off. His finishing's off. If anyone's undecided as to whether we need a new centre forward or not, I think today puts the final nail in his coffin. And I know he gets the goal, and I know that. And he actually he showed good feet. The finish is deflected, obviously.
Beautiful.
He showed very, very good feet in that moment. But
that flick is absolute.
We need more than that.
Yeah, which is fair enough. And I think what I do like about him is whatever's been said to him at half time, whether it's been encouragement or whether it's been what I often suspect is the case with Adam Idah, it's a rocket up his arse. I think he's needing that every game. He seems to need something to prove. He seems to feel like, I think the reason we got such a good return for him when he was on loan was the fact he's trying to fight for a contract. He was probably getting as aware as anyone was, Terry. He was being described as the third choice Norwich striker. These wee things can channel players. It feels like you've joined Celtic, your boyhood dream, you've got your 5-year deal, you've got your 30 grand a week, the 9 million move, and suddenly things are just going a wee bit too easy for him almost in his career trajectory. And I think he needs some sort of fucking the motivation that's almost negative on him to get the best out of him. I don't know why. It's just a hunch. I could be completely wrong in that, of course. But you look at then, if Idah was the description or the narrative that he gets alluded to often, he doesn't come out the second half and have the confidence to do that flick and then rifle that shot, Terry. His head would be down, he'd be lethargic still, and he's the polar opposite when it comes to that goal. In fact, it shows the technique I'm talking about, mate. Technique I'm talking about that was so lacking. He just out of nowhere is like, oh, there's a flick to set me up. Rifles a shot, yeah, it's deflected, but that shot's an absolute fucking bullet, mate. And that's not the player I seen in the first half when he was presented with 2 opportunities, one for an assist, one for a finish. So you're getting the best and the worst of him, I suppose, in the one game. Do I like the fact he's bounced back? Of course I do. If I'm honest, I look at their number 9, and I do think that they're almost I think they're twins. I think Dessers and Idah are very, very alike players. I think they're confidence players. I think sometimes you feel like they're not doing anything. Yet quite often you see their name on the score sheet. See if Idah had the same amount of starts as what Dessers has, I bet almost their goals to game would be the exact same. Yeah, Dessers scores a peach at Old Trafford. Idah scores 2 at Villa Park. And yet other times you look at them and you think, fucking hell, they're against Ross County and they look shit.
I think the other consistency with both of them is their supporter base don't think either of them's good enough for
the club. But they split at the very least. Yeah,
the thing is, the miss from Idah is just magnified by they go up the other end and within 40 seconds the ball's in our net. And I think Scales is culpable as well. I think he's too weak there. He's too soft.
Scales lets
it starts with Idah. It starts with Idah, that one. He puts the ball in the net. We're 1-0 up.
Yes, but that doesn't change the scenarios that then are presented to the defender. Scales isn't thinking, "Oh, I can't believe Idah missed that," when he's defending Dessers there. That's not in his head. He's still dealt with
Scales was culpable.
Yeah, Scales is still set with it. You just said that. Yeah, but you thought then Idah. It all starts from Idah, but you then go into your next phase of playing, and it's like the situation presented to you, Scales. There's no bearing with it. Idah's missed a sitter, scored a belter 5 minutes before. It makes no odds. You're presented with an option there. And what you've actually done is almost on one knee tried to do an early lunge, which I think Dessers has read that you would do. He's felt a commitment from you, pushes it a wee bit further wide, and he gets the angle, and it's a good finish. But Scales who lets Raskin as well for that header you were talking about, not Raskin, sorry.
Balogun,
the heads off there. Scales hasn't seen him over his shoulder. Mate, he's 5 yards away from Scales, but unless it's zonal marking and he's expecting someone else to pick him up, to me, it looked like that was Scales' man. And he's not been aware of his presence whatsoever. And he's ghosted him beside him, but in plain sight. A ghost that's not transparent.
He was unsure of himself today, Bhoycie Scales, wasn't he? So. And he was on his arse quite a few. I don't know what it was. There was loads of players fucking.
Yeah, there was.
Just whatever was happening.
No, I noticed that as well. But yeah, when it comes to the goal, as I say, you could say Scales has to be maybe stronger. I think it looks like he's been brushed off a bit, which I think there's an element of that. I also think, as I say, Dessers has read that he's going to do his recommitted sort of half tackle here. He almost looks like he goes down to one knee, but he's read that coming, and that's why just that slightly early touch to push it wide, because he's read what Scales is going to do, and then it's up to him to finish it. And you can't do anything that's in a solo for that. I thought it was a top class finish, to be perfectly honest with you. And again, I think that was he'd touched the ball 4 times leading up to that, and then he did 5 touches in his goal. Dessers. This guy's a bit of an enigma as well.
Excellent piece of play by Cherney. It was a lovely dummy.
Yeah,
class.
Very true. And I don't mind, see goals like that can happen. And yeah, we can look at it from the Scales negative point of view. The other side of it is, you know what? Shit happens. And that goal was good. Our frustration is obviously going to be we had an opportunity as well, and we didn't take it. As we go into the second half, Terry, were you expecting a big change from Celtic? Were you expecting personnel changes? Obviously, Scott.
I didn't. Well, the only thing I think if we'd had the correct personnel on the bench, I don't think Idah would have come out for the second half. But when you look at that bench, he was never going to bring Kenny on for 45 minutes. He was never going to bring Yang on for 45.
Don't get me started on him.
Move Maida into the middle.
But Scott Arfield, who sounded like it was like Chris Sutton took his grandson out for the day in commentary. It took me about 10 minutes to work out who it was. It's like, who's the wee boy on like work experience day? Like, there's no bass in his voice at all. Big Sutton sounded like it was his wee grandson. He was saying, hey, not like me and you, big man. And I'm like, who is this guy? In comments. But anyway, he'd sort of said that he'd been watching the two managers, he said, from the vantage point that they have. And he'd said, Ingles is getting it tight off Rodgers the last 10 minutes. I thought he could have came off at halftime, to be honest. He was very ineffective in the game and disappointing in possession. But I thought a lot of them were, of course. But just the way Arfield sort of teed that up, I thought maybe he wouldn't have seen the second half. But nonetheless, we did start with a bit more purpose that second half. It did feel like we were growing into the game, if you like. But things could only get better as well, to be honest, for that first half showing. So it's not a real badge of honour, is it?
Well, Bhoycie, the thing about it is, it probably felt like a lot more because of half time, but we were actually only behind for about 15 minutes because their goal happened before half time. And and we scored 10 minutes into the second half. I think there was quite a poignant moment as well there, where the new Rangers manager was sort of announced just pre-half-time when the camera panned in on Neil Warnock. So I know the big pendant takeover and everything, so they're obviously going all out to go for a big name in Neil Warnock. So it'd be interesting next season to see him in the dugout.
Do you think it will be him?
I'm trying to keep a straight face.
The
other question is, what the fuck was he doing there if he's not?
No, it's not just what he was doing there. And I think Sutton clocked as well. He took a note when the camera was on him. And that's why Sutton went, there might be a bit of truth in that, actually. I was like, he's taking notes. I'm like, oh, fucking please.
It would be funny.
Please.
It would be funny, wouldn't it?
Nothing would surprise you, mate.
And I sent a Phil last week. I was saying about this clamour for Gerrard, and I just think that would be such a backward step. I'd be happy to see that happen as well. But the names that are mentioned, the other guys, possibly the one that makes sense, the Margot Rose one with I don't know the whole link between Red Bull and the 49ers and all of that, but Rose managed both Red Bull Leipzig and Red Bull Salzburg. So, and he's come up against Celtic a few times, and he's been pictured in a Celtic shirt with a Celtic scarf. But I just thought, oh, please be Warnock. that would be really funny.
It was weird that he was taking notes. I just thought,
I mean, what was he doing?
If you go to the game, mate, right, just as a bystander, just love the derby, soaking in. You're not writing me notes in a notepad.
Maybe he's a David Blake. Maybe he's a scout now for.
I wonder if they've just said, look, like, you're not working right now. Any chance to like coming to a few games on us and just giving some feedback? And that might be the case, by the way, when he's experienced in football and shit. So I wonder if it's that. But it was just unbelievable that whilst on camera they make a joke out of Warnock John, and then he takes a note and something goes, might be some truth in that after all. And I thought, he was taking a note there. I'm like, Big Satty doesn't miss a trick. Like,
anyway, I thought that. I've sidetracked you. We get the equaliser then, Bhoycie, and I don't know what the linesman, what on earth he was doing, because he was right beside the fullback, Yefty, and he was playing Maida on by about 10 yards, and there might even have been another one was playing him on as well. So initially the goal's given offside. You only have to see it once to know there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, and then it's the usual. Now
they're looking at the first phase of play.
Trying to go back about 10 phases. I thought if they went any further back, they would have had to disallow the Rangers' goal in the first half.
Yeah, they would still be back at half time. Just rewind the game. Fuck it.
It was good to get it, and then you're thinking, yeah, do you know what? Let's go on and get the job done here. But whilst we were better from that moment, and I thought we were the aggressors, we probably didn't do enough, to be honest, from there.
No, probably not. I mean, but what frustrates me as well with that is, I don't know if you noticed when it was the Rascan header, Crocker, and they're definitely, and I've fucking told you this like 2 years ago, not trying to be a smart, so I went, that commentary team are getting fed messages. Remember at the time it wasn't meant to be the case, and then it turned out they might. I think it's always been the case, right? And I think it works two ways. I think they're not telling me that the guys in that bar room don't have access to what the Sky guys are saying. Remember I told you once, I said, I feel like Sutton was almost pressuring them to have a second look at one of the decisions. Remember a couple of years ago, I was like, Sutton's like, he keeps repeating it, and then suddenly they're looking at it. I felt they were influenced by that. I was told, it's only one way of travel. It's not how conversations work. It's not how lines work. I think it's two-way. Anyway, Crocker suddenly pipes up with the Rask going, they're going to get the lines out. And then he says, but we could be here a while now. Why would John the offside lines take any longer or shorter a time than they know? And that's what he's alluding to there. We could be here a while, mate. So I'll tell you what I think for that. You've drawn the lines at the moment of contact and then thought, is there another angle where he's just before he takes contact, but it looks like he's made contact with the ball, and we can draw lines based on that half a second earlier? Why would anything take a different amount of time to normal when it's an offside decision, Terry? Talk about offside. That's where they slip up. These wee bits, and I think that's Crocker with a wee tidbit blurted something out he's not meant to. He says, I'm like, right, that tells me he's offside. I mean, straight away, what did you think? As soon as you seen the first second goes, oh yeah, there's both Arfield and him went. He looks offside. You could see it a million miles. He was offside. Why on earth then would Crocker be under the impression we could be here a while they're drawing off sidelines? That's dodgy to me, mate. And that's not from a Celtic persuasion. Yeah. I just think in general that tells me not everything is getting done as balanced or as accurate as you think, because why would you be here any longer? Then, just to make my actual point, we get to the Idah one. As you rightfully say, I was worried about the chip ball through to Idah, him being offside. That was my worry. Crocker's preempted before the ref. He's onside here. And they're about to feed it to the referee. Oh, no, I think they're going to check the first phase of play. And I went, right, so they're disappointed in the outcome of the offside check. And are now going, they're looking for a foul. I mean, what are they looking for in the first phase of play? What are they looking for? What's triggered? Like, remember, it's got to be obvious, clear and obvious.
Yeah.
Right. If I can't even even remotely think of what could have been an offence, that's then hunting, in my opinion, for something. And again, the ref's sitting there like, what's going on here? Blah, blah, blah. The commentary team, we know it's onside. He's onside now. And then the ref gets told, and this is to not muddy the waters, gets told he's onside once they've checked for a foul in the first phase of play. I don't think they're telling the ref that bit. They're just delaying the offside call, going, yeah, still waiting. And then he's onside. It's a goal. So what the ref doesn't say, oh, they're looking for a foul in the first phase, because the players would be like I was going, fuck you talking about? There's a wee bit of smoke and mirrors still going on with this, in my opinion. But that is, as I've always said, what you get with two-strike VAR, letting the lunatics still run the asylum, just with more autonomy now than they had before.
I think what you'll get, Bhoycie, is whenever Wee Willie does his monthly show, you'll get to hear what was being said by the officials, whilst Ian Crocker was feeding back to us what he was hearing. Yeah. So I'm wondering, and what really strikes me when you watch that VAR review is how chaotic the conversations are between the guys on the pitch and the guys in the VAR room. And unless the referee or someone has indicated that they think it's really tight just from seeing it live, whenever you see the replay, first replay, he's on by an absolute mile and there's nothing in the build-up, and you're wondering, what are you then looking at? What, as you say, the offside's clear, factual. It doesn't even need a line. It just needs someone to look at it and go, right,
no problem.
He's clearly on.
We could be here a while. That has been said, mate, from a position of knowledge. We could be here a while. As Crocker's blurted out something, I don't think he's realised what he said. And I'm like,
So I'm wondering, has the referee shouted something like, "Oh, that's definitely on," or "I think that's on," or I don't know. It'll be one. It'll definitely be picked up. It'll definitely be picked up.
Yeah.
And we'll get to hear what was said. I do like that wee show, actually. I like getting to listen to the audio, and at some point in the future, I think you'll get that live. You'll get that live, and I suppose one of the benefits of being a television supporter on a day like this is we get the decision about 2 seconds before the guys in the stadium, and we already know that it's going to be disallowed, but you can see the Rangers fans there, or the goal's going to be given, and you can see that they're expecting the on-field decision to remain the same. Well, that's quite funny. There was a supporter in behind Brendan Rodgers, and she was just sitting on her phone. She didn't even know Celtic had scored.
Oh,
Rangers supporter. She must maybe she's got a season ticket or something, and
maybe Warnock's assistant.
Just finds it. Do you remember there was a game, Bhoycie? I don't think it was a Scottish game. I think it was an English game where it panned in on some woman in the crowd, and she was sitting with a book, just sitting reading a book. She was obviously been dragged along by her other half, and it just was a little bit like that. This woman's just sitting on her phone and doesn't even realise the ball's in the net. It was scored. But I mean, from there, I don't think we've done enough. I think we also looked a wee bit jittery at times when...
Would you argue, though, that if anyone was going to win it, say for 75 onwards, I felt it was... If anyone's going to win it, and I'll be honest, I thought it was going to end a draw, right? And that's not chat this week. So I thought I'd draw it. No, but if there is to be a goal, I did feel it'd be us.
The only time I thought they might score is the time Ralston slipped and let somebody in, or just there's so many times in these games, Bhoycie, where you just want the Celtic player to go and make that professional foul that all other teams seem to be really comfortable doing, and we don't seem to be able to do it. And I just thought there were times where Rangers players were breaking on us, and they had a 3-on-2 as well, where I think Carter Vickers pulled Scales out of a hole. We then had the bottles of Bucky and stuff getting thrown on as well. And then last minute, you think, here we go. As soon as Idah gets clear, you think there's only one outcome here. And there were actually two options. He gets a shot away and scores, or he squares it to Johnny Kenny and he scores his first goal for Celtic, or you do neither of those and completely fuck it up. And he went for option 3, probably for about the first time in about 6 months. He got the wrong option.
Yeah, it reminded me of watching a horse race. You've got like a 5 on a horse, or however much you put on a horse. Where he was running clearly like, go on. And then when he's through, it was like, are you going to pip it with the post? That's what it felt like. And then if you actually watch the replay later, he's tried to do the Henrik drag over around him, mate. That's a Henrik.
There wasn't enough room.
No, but he tried to do it with the drag over as well. I'm like, Idah, I love you. You know I do, Dyson. But one of the things is your technique sometimes, like the drag overs around the keeper. I mean, show me a man who scored 30 odd goals this season, I'll show you Dyson Idah's confidence levels. And drag around at that point, I'm like, what? You didn't even just try to go around him with his pace. He's like, use the studs as well. Fuck it. I'm like, fucking hell. It's like someone having had their first pint, you know what I mean? Their confidence is just brimming. I'm like, Idah, that's not you, mate. I thought you should have just shot it a touch earlier.
I was worrying Nick Walsh was going to blow up just before he got the shot away. Because we were into added time. Yeah,
I thought that as well. Yeah. I had thought that, and I thought you've got to play out that sort of phase of play. But I just thought he should have, as the keeper's unsure whether to come out or not, shoot then when he's not in steady legs. You know what I mean? If he's still in
square it for a top end. But he was never going to square it. He was never going to square it. But very disappointing he didn't get the shot away. I've just realised, Bhoycie, I didn't answer one of the questions you asked me earlier. It was about Idah's miss. They described it as a great save by the goalkeeper. He doesn't even strike it. He doesn't.
That's what I said to you.
I know you did, but I meant to come back to you on that. He gets very little.
I think it's going wide. It's going wide. See if you watch it again. It's the swivel in that ball, mate, and the way it's came off of, say, an undeliberate part of his foot. I think that thing's going to just ski whip and trundle wide.
That makes it even worse. He was clear, and not to get a clean shot away is just unforgivable. But I suppose if we're going to be hard on Idah, we need to then be hard on Dyson for that one in the last minute as well, because it was every bit as easy, but he's just got a little bit more credit in the bank.
Yeah, well, that's one of the gifts that you get when you've had a fantastic season, to be fair. Overall, Terry, I'm going to be honest, I felt the game was played by Celtic as a team that have won the league. A team that, even if you look at the optics, say, for example, before the Idah miss, they were trying to rush taker and throw-ins. We didn't seem to have that urgency. They looked like they needed to win. We looked like, a team in the league sewn up. Albeit, I mean, I think these games still can have impact, but do you know what? Brendan ruins all this for them and us in the sense that this manager will never get the praise that he deserves for making fixtures like these redundant. That's what he's done this year. He's made it redundant, mate. He made the last one redundant. 2 derbies this season, mate, have made no fucking odds. And the second derby that didn't make odds, they fucked up for themselves anyway, straight after, 2-3 games in a row. But then Brendan punishes that and he goes on the runs that he does with Celtic, like the one over Christmas, like the one after the derby where we were, 3 points left, right and centre. He's very dominant force in Scottish football still. Albeit we can look at individual matches of this and say, fucking hell, I would do. I stand by what I said on Thursday. Don't know if you're ever on that TikTok thing, Terry, but we went a wee bit viral for us.
I'm not on that, but I was trying to watch that clip of yours, but I'll get somebody else to put it on.
Sure, 6,000 views, mate, on TikTok. That's a lot for us, mate. We're down with the kids, man. But I was saying then in that clip, I just felt there was a change of strategy needed, and I felt this again today. We still didn't utilise it as much as I would like. I think we need to sometimes don't worry about playing beautiful football all the time. Play the fixture you're in sometimes and go, do you know what? We're going to need to go over the top here. We're going to need to go over the top. If our biggest weapon in this fixture is Callum McGregor dominating the game, their biggest weapon in this fixture seems to be our strong press. But what if you watch today, when we had the ball, Raskin, not the whole team doing this high press, but he did an individual press, and that was straight to Callum McGregor when he didn't have the ball. And he was literally behind him every time, right? So they've came up with their new strategy. Rather than their high press being in unison, it's you stick them like glue. When they've got the ball with the fullback, so the centre-back, Raskin pushes beyond effectively what their relatively high press is and goes on to Callum McGregor like glue. They've thought about that, and they're still sticking to their game plan, but also countering what our biggest weapon in the fixtures, and that's a game where you go, Callum McGregor ran the show today, right? I know that's just fucking like a line you can use, but I think in essence it's them recognising it, and they've came up with something. Rangers press beats us, but why don't we beat their press in another way? And I still don't feel. I think it's always about going wide and passing like stages, and then get it to a winger, then try and stretch them that way and sort of split up their pretty rigid midfield. I think we're going to need to look at utilising the pace we've got and going a bit more direct at times. And Big Idah, it's like, yeah, big man or not, like get the ball and make it stick. But we don't. See, to be fair to Idah, we don't actually utilise that enough or see if he's good at that enough. And I do think there's many ways to skin a cat. And I think we're reluctant to do one that I feel is going to be described as prehistoric or not what the modern game appreciates as much. But, there's 50, 60 games, 60 odd games a season. Like, see one or two if you've got to do it a different way. It shows a smart team, not a shit team. It shows a team that learns its lessons, not one that's stuck in its... See, philosophy. I've never seen philosophy the Philosophy Cup. I've never seen the Philosophy Trophy. I've never seen philosophy score a goal. All this bollocks about philosophy seems to... I like winning, no matter what. And I think Celtic aren't using all the tools at their disposal to overcome this fixture just yet. I think they're still being a wee bit persistent with their ideologies and how they play against now over 90 minutes, a fixture we've not won 4 times in a row. Over 90 minutes.
We've got a free kick, 80 odd minutes. We've got a free kick in our own half. And I'm going, why would you not fire Scales and Carter Vickers up? Remember, Carter Vickers has hit the bar in the first half as well. What we do is Scales rushes the free kick. He's looking about. He wants someone to play it short to. He plays it to someone who's got a guy up his arse, who then plays it back to him, and Scales then plays it across to Taylor. Why? What is wrong with firing that into the box with your big men up? Even you only do it once in the game. Even just at that stage, just to get the territorial advantage of moving the ball from where it's at in our half into their box, just take a chance. But again, I thought you mentioned Scott Arfield, and I thought he was quite good on co-coms. I thought he made some good points. I thought he was reasonably fair across the board. But he said
he'll get a gold star and a wee lollipop for his performance, won't he?
No,
but Papa Sutton will look after him.
Credit where it's due. But what he said was, if you've Dyson made in your team, when does him dropping short to play a pass in defeat, when does that become something you would ever want to do? Every time it's in behind, it's in behind. You've got to play it in behind. That's the ball every single time. And I think that's something we should be doing a lot more of.
I agree.
And not going around the houses to play that pass, getting that pass from
Cameron Vickers
or from whoever. And I think football is changing a little bit, Bhoycie. So the game has kind of gone through this phase where every team's tried to copy Guardiola's Barcelona team. Yeah, but totally I watched Barcelona the other night. An absolutely brilliant game of football against Inter. But you can even see Barcelona's changing. Yes, they're still playing that possession-based game, but watching them now, they are looking to play the ball forward a lot more and looking for the quicker balls down the channels to release the wide players as well. So the game's just gone through. It's gone through an evolution. It's gone from what we knew as that sort of helter-skelter British style game in the 80s and 90s, and then it's gone to this thing where everyone tries to copy what Pep did because that was so beautiful in the eye and was so effective, even though he had 11 of the best footballers in the world to make it
at all times, at all clubs.
But
I feel as well.
Evolving a little bit, and I think you'll see a kind of hybrid of both of those, where teams want to play a possession-based game, but they do want to do things faster and move the ball more direct.
I think what it looks to me is that one of the chinks, if you're one of these bigger clubs in Europe, you've got better players at your disposal. I get all that. Really, right now, we've went through this cycle so long. To see the best attributes of centre-backs now, mate, is their passing ability, not their defending. If you can find a way to put 2 strikers up, right, and you've got good enough midfielders that can handle it, and you put 2 up top and one can rough the other up, they're not great at defending centre-backs anymore. So surely you could be the innovator, if you like, by going back the way in time and going, they'll fucking hate that style. Because almost all teams now, as you rightly point out, I think Gerard Piqué highlights to me everything wrong with centre-backs, as much as this way of playing as a centre-back that only really seemed like Maldini, for example, in my generation, it was just an awesome player on the ball, but it was hard as fuck, right? That I think Piqué didn't look like to me like he ever fancied defending much. I think he was great at it, but he's sublime on the ball and creating attacks. And, that first phase of you getting the ball is actually now taking on a greater responsibility, because Piqué's showing you how effective the centre-back can be playing clever passes. Now I just feel like if they've all tried to replicate that, you got a fucking big Chris Sutton up there, mate, now. They fucking hate it, the modern centre-backs. Did you then go bold enough to play 2 up top and 1 running up? I think you could have real weapons. I don't know if Celtic, are going to have players of the quality to do it. I think at home we could be braver against the elite teams now and go, do you know what? Play fucking ugly sometimes, or what's described as ugly. We'd even like hearing that word, ugly, described about a team. I love the word described about a team as winning, not losses. Fucking philosophy is pish. I think
Two up top will come back, Bhoycie.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like I always talk about it, like the big businesses in the UK. Around every 15 years, someone will come in and they'll make a decision. We're going to move our work to outside of the UK, and everybody will go, "Oh, what a decision! What a visionary this person is!"
Yeah.
Now, in 15 years' time, the next big guy will come in, and he'll bring it all back. He'll have had the vision to bring it all back again, and then 15 years down, it just keeps happening. And it'll be the same with football. That it'll just come back round again, and someday people will be picking 4-4-2 again, and they'll be talking about it that the manager of the time then, Neil Warnock or whoever it is, he'll be getting all the credit as this visionary who's introduced 4-4-2.
That's what it is. That's why they're appointing Warnock.
That's what he was writing down on his page, 4-4-2 next season.
They'll never see it coming. They'll never see it coming. Right, Terry, we'll waffle on a day. I know you've got things you want to do, mate. We'll call it there. Thanks very much for joining me. As always, thanks everyone in the chat, 170 odd watching live. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And if you're off tomorrow, remember, don't do anything I would do. See you later.